Okay, this is our accreditation town hall meeting, follow-up report, the progress we've made and where we are and where we plan to be. I want to thank you all, and especially the special ones in the audience that have decided to move to another exciting chapter in their life. We will have a reception for all the retirees. It looks like we're looking at May 25th around 5 o'clock. And so I'll get more information out to you. For those of you, all of us are invited to give our thanks to our faculty and staff. We'll probably have another reception in December for the classified staff that are going to wait till December to retire. So a lot of festivities. Veterans Day Memorial, May 25th, is going to occur at 11 a.m. in the Quad. It is turning out to be a huge event. Ed Raskin, thank you so much. I met with Catherine today. She filled me in on, oh my God, we're going to have the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. We're going to have the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We're going to have the homeless vet table for veterans that need assistance for finding a home. There's going to be a lot of activity May 25th. That same day, around 12:30, after the Veterans Memorial celebration, we're having a debut of our Dream Center. It'll be here, I think, in Campus Center, Maine. We're inviting community people to hear about our Dream Center for DACA students and undocumented, both not only for the college, but for the community. And we're inviting a lot of community people because they were very interested in learning more about the resources available to them and their families and loved ones. So this will be under the able leadership of Vice President Chris Villa. So Chris, thank you so much for putting that center together. We'll have a little program. Congressman Cardenas' office is coming out, various dignitaries to launch this center, the Dream Center. So today, though, the topic of discussion is accreditation. As you know, we were reaffirmed, but we were asked to do a follow-up report. No visit, just a follow-up report within a period of time. We plan to complete the follow-up report, which is 99% completed. It's been drafted by the writing teams, and I've asked the co-chairs of the Accreditation Steering Committee, Acting Vice President Isabel Saber and Professor Kelly Enos, to provide you where we are with the entire follow-up report, which is due, I think, in October. So we're very close to completing that, but we wanted to present it to you. We want to give you an opportunity to look at it and have input so that we can wind that up. So that's the purpose of today's meeting. Before I get started or turn it over to Kelly and to Isabel, are there any questions in the audience that need to be answered? Okay, now one last point. We are going to build another building. We're working very hard for the Student Services building, and we've already broken ground on it. We're going to do our very best. Wally has assured me and Victor, and I met with our program manager today, that we will have access for commencement, so from the parking lot. So Wally, thank you so much, and Victor for pushing that. So commencement is June 6th. We're going to try to get all that wrapped up by the end of the month, so we have a pathway for families to walk to commencement. But stay, you know, growth is a good thing, so stay positive. But there are going to be times when there'll be fencing and there'll be a lot of cars and trucks, and we've been through this for how long now? 15 years of ongoing development. Okay, so now that I've finished my announcements, I'd like to turn it over to Professor Kelly Enos. Thank you.
Okay, accreditation, it never stops, does it? We thought we were done with that back in April, and we're here again. So again, the purpose of today's meeting is to kind of give you an update on where we're at with accreditation with the 2017 follow-up report and any questions you may have regarding where we're at. So how we got here, basically the purpose of the report is to address some areas that the visiting team pointed out we need to beef up a little bit. And some of those recommendations were for compliance, where the visiting team determined that we were out of compliance and need to do some more work in that area. And then some of the recommendations were for improvement, that we were meeting the ACC-JC standards for compliance, but we needed to improve in some areas. So that's really what the basic purpose is of the report, is to address those areas and then submit that document for approval to the Commission in October. So writing teams. So we had a number of writing teams per recommendation, and those writing teams, their goal, responsibility was to write to their individual recommendation and then again provide evidence. So David Jordan helped us out with looking at some of this stuff. And so that's kind of where we're at. So as Dr. Perez stated, we're about 99% done with the report. Evidence collection is about 90%, so we're looking pretty good. Actually way ahead of schedule in the timeline we developed for ourselves last year. And so today we're going to look at each recommendation. We're going to have some folks come up that have a lot of input in work in those areas and kind of give a summary of where we're at with each recommendation. So recommendation 1 talks about integrated planning and improving the integrated planning process and following through with one of our main projects in the quality focus essay, which had to do with improving integrated planning on campus. So at this point, I'm going to ask Isabel Saber to come up and talk to us about where we're at with recommendation 1. Isabel.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the method of integration of planning is a bit convoluted, and we have actually done quite a bit of work over the last several months to make sure that we have a series of plans that speak to each other. We do have the plans. We've had them for many, many years, but in a lot of the cases, we don't have a good integration between the different plans. So what IPC, the Integrated Planning Committee, has been doing is to make sure that we have alignment between these plans. So for those of you who are new to the planning process, we have 4 master plans, one in education, the other in technology, facilities, and student services. So the first attempt that we have done is to take the activities and the goals that are within each one of these 4 master plans and align the activities with the 6 strategic master plan goals. So each one of the managers and budget holders have been asked to create that alignment. We started the process during one of our meetings, and they have now completed that more or less for this Friday, when we're going to have a retreat and have this matrix with all the different activities across the 4 different master plans. And the goal for that is to see if there are any redundancies, any overlaps of any kind, and whether or not some of the activities and goals have already been completed. In addition, we're going to discuss whether or not there are additional activities and goals that we would like to incorporate in our planning process. So after this series of activities are finished, hopefully by next Monday, then we're going to expand the work to other auxiliary plans that we have, such as strategic enrollment management, distance ed, and so on and so forth, and do the exact same thing with those plans. The goal is to make sure that every single activity can be traced back very directly to our strategic master plan goals, and from that create a template from which we are going to develop any future plans. So for example, we have to create a combined plan for our equity, basic skills, and triple SP. Our hope is that if we develop this matrix and this methodology to a point where every single area of campus can use it as a template for developing plans, and that's the way to ensure that we have an integrated methodology for planning. So that's where we are for now. Are there any questions? I know this was very fast, but we are really getting the foundation down, and we're working on it. If anyone is interested in attending the retreat on Friday from 9 to 1, please let me know. I was going to announce the room, which was going to be Arroyo, but I got an email from Tara letting me know that we were booted out of the room to someplace else. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will get back to you with the location. You're more than welcome to come and watch and help. Any questions? All right, thank you. So I believe the second recommendation is for Student Services, and VP Chris Villa will be addressing that.
Thank you, Isabel. Recommendation 2 was a recommendation for compliance. So the standard for meeting this recommendation is actually higher than a recommendation for improvement, which you will find in some of the other standards. So that's an important point I'd like to share with you, that it's important that we really meet this standard. In this particular standard, we developed a QFE, a quality focus essay that addressed the standard. And the standard has two focal areas in which we need to address improvement. And those areas are to provide appropriate, reliable, and equitable support services to all students. And the second is to provide an improvement in the design and assessment of SAOs, or service area outcomes, and to continuously improve our student support programs and services. So we've been working on that for the last year and a half since I've come on board. So with regard to the QFE, we've done a few things. We had a retreat back in October, in which we had about 50 faculty and staff, primarily from our division, participate in the retreat, and we addressed several of the components of the QFE that we felt needed to be addressed or prioritized. So we have a report from that retreat, and the report is being included as evidence that we're attempting to address four of these objectives of the 8 altogether that are in the QFE that pertain to student support programs. We've also started, as of last fall, ongoing regular meetings between the deans, between academic affairs and student services. That wasn't necessarily in place on a regular basis, so that's been occurring since fall of last year to improve the coordination of services between the two divisions. Another key component is to improve the leadership skills or opportunities for faculty and staff in our division. So this year, we were very pleased to have 2 of our faculty, well, actually Diana Bonilla, one of our faculty, and Ludi Vegas, one of our deans, to be participants in the National Community College Hispanic Council program. This is a national program. They were only 20 faculty and staff are selected to participate in this leadership program, so we highlighted that. Although we know that we have classified staff that participate in ongoing leadership or staff development programming, there are other opportunities that we were able to document in which this is occurring, but those 2 stood out. We've also developed and presented to our president a staffing plan. As you know, if you talk to anyone in student services or practically anyone on campus, we just need more staffing. But we want to make sure that whatever we propose is vetted with our constituent groups. So our staffing plan has been vetted. It includes specific positions that we intend to fill in the near future, funded primarily out of categorical funds. So Danny, if you're here, I'm sure you're pleased to hear that. Our goal is not to have the general fund or the 10-100 affected by this, but there is a great need for staffing in this division. So the plan has already been presented to the president. It's reviewed. It's in the process of being implemented. And if you would like a copy of that plan, we will gladly share it with you. Also, with regard to SAOs, Student Achievement Outcomes, I want to thank Deborah Paulson and also Sarah Master and Patricia Chow last fall They were greatly helpful to us in our division in meeting with our unit leaders to help them improve their SAOs for this particular year, for year 16-17. Our SAOs are currently under review. We've been working with the Program Review Oversight Committee to extend the deadline in which we complete our assessment and evaluation of SAOs for 16-17. The reason for that is that in many instances we're assessing SAOs, but we're waiting for data to be collected, and we need to wait until the conclusion of the academic year, because in some cases we're evaluating the performance of our students, for instance, with respect to GPA or other information like that. So we made a modification to the process, but we think it's going to improve our ability to assess and evaluate our SAOs. I also want to thank Kelly Enos and other faculty that were involved in assisting us in training our faculty and staff to do qualitative research. So we have evidence now that many of the units in our division actually are not just collecting quantitative data, but qualitative data with respect to these SAOs. So we have documentation of that. And we hope to make that a continued practice for us, that our unit leaders, our unit managers continue to gather information on our students from a qualitative perspective. And then finally, with the emergence of the combination of the BSI, the Basic Skills Initiative, Student Support Services Programs, SSSP, and then also Student Equity, we have now formed a group which will probably morph into a committee, a Student Success Committee, that will focus on improving outcomes for our students in general on campus. So we think this particular development is important with respect to improving student support programs and services here at LA Mission College. So I guess like Dr. Perez often mentions, we're on the move, mission's on the move, and we're hopeful that with all this evidence, we'll be able to meet this recommendation. So I'll entertain any questions at this time, otherwise I'll hand it over to the next person. No questions? Okay, I'll hang out for a while after this presentation and be glad to talk to you individually. And I don't know who's up next, Kelly. Who's up? Kelly.
Thanks, Chris. All right, recommendation 3. So recommendation 3 looked at the tutoring services on campus. One of the things that the visiting team didn't find was that there was not a lot of evidence of us assessing tutoring services on campus. Some of the areas of tutoring, they did not find a lot of tutoring services going through program review. If you remember in accreditation, and a lot of this is all about completing the loop. It is looking at either services or student learning outcomes, assessing those areas, implementing changes, and then reassessing to see if those changes improve student learning or services on the college campus. And so our tutoring services is one of the areas that the visiting team looked at and thought we needed to really improve in some of these areas. So the recommendation talks about improvement, and to respond to the recommendations, the Office of Academic Affairs immediately started to implement a plan for assessing tutoring services on campus. The plan called for the evaluation of all tutoring services for the completion of a program review and unit update for the LRC, discussions in council of instruction, chairs and deans, meetings with key tutoring service staff members, and point of service surveys for all locations to determine the quality of service in tutoring services. So point of service surveys went out to a number of different areas, including the STEM Center, Learning Resource Center, Learning Center Math Lab, Math Center, and Science Success Center. So I'm going to give you a really brief summary of what the outcome was of those assessments. So during the a week-long assessment in April of 2016, the surveys went out to the different tutoring centers, and again, the summary of those surveys were that in the STEM Center, 81% strongly agreed that services they received helped in their science courses, and students requested tutoring services to be offered on Fridays. 100% of students surveyed expressed satisfaction with the quality of tutoring and stated that they would recommend those services to a friend. So we're doing well in that area. LRC survey, 51% strongly agreed that tutoring service helped them in their classes. In the math lab, there was some dissatisfaction with the number of tutors available on site, as well as some of the hours of operation. In the math lab, 69% of students surveyed agreed that the service helped them in their math classes, and some students requested earlier opening times and longer hours of operations. NetTutor, how many folks have heard of NetTutor? So hopefully most folks have heard of NetTutor. So this is a service that was contracted with the college through Link Systems, and it basically is an online tutoring service. So this is one of the areas we assessed in fall of 2016 to determine the usage and satisfaction of the service. 322 students who used NetTutor used it for a total of 653 sessions. 92% of students surveyed strongly agreed that they had a positive experience with NetTutor and would recommend it to others. So as far as areas for improvement, where we go from now on, I know that the LRC is finishing up, or just about finished up, with program review, and some of these areas are in their program review responses. So we're looking at increased coordination, collaboration among all tutoring services on campus, promoting NetTutor to faculty and students, securing ongoing funding for additional tutors, and institutionalizing tutoring learning support services currently funded by grants, and then filling one key position, the language arts instructional assistant. That, my understanding, I think that was Marie Zane's former position a while ago, and we need to fill that. We did fill one key position, the LRC director, as all of us know, back in fall of 2016. And so that is where we're at with recommendation 3. Any questions on recommendation 3 on tutoring? Recommendation 4, this was probably the toughest one we had to do. It took us all about 5 minutes to do this. The visiting team recommended that we put a academic calendar in the print and online catalog, and I think we did that while the team was still here. So that was a quick fix. So that is completed. Any additional information or questions on 3 and 4? Mike? How many years do we have it posted? In the catalog or just online? Like a 2-3 year out type calendar? I don't know. I'll check and get back to you on that. I'm not sure. I think we only do it a year out, if I'm not mistaken. I can look into that and get back to you on that. Yeah, it's a good question. Sure. Anything else on 3 and 4? Okay. Next up, we have recommendation 5. And Rod, can you come up and talk about 5 for us? Thank you.
So recommendation 5 is one of the 2 areas related with technology that was part of the follow-up report. This is an area of improvement, so not a compliance-related item. And this talks about improving upon updating and keeping current the portions of the website related to academic disciplines. So what they found was at times some of the information that we had on our website was not completely accurate or consistent with other documentations that we had, such as the course catalog. And so the IT department, along with members of academic affairs and also the technology committee, met, took a look at our current processes and areas where we could improve upon, and came up with 3 phases of improvement. The first one was an immediate review of the website and just taking a look at just what areas needed some immediate changes. So there was a change with the overall template of the academic discipline pages. So it was a little bit easier to navigate. The opening page for each academic discipline would display the current class schedule for each of those disciplines, and that would be automatically updated as the class schedules would be developed. Links within the academic discipline pages were linked specifically to the areas of the course catalog that pertain to that discipline, so it was much easier for one to find that information. And just some overall updates with information about the program and the courses. The second phase was a review of just the overall process. So during the period of the year where a course catalog would be updated, typically in the springtime, we agreed that the IT department would have a role in that to make sure that they were kept up to date with what changes were being made. So during that timeline, when the course catalog was being updated, IT would be involved to make sure any of these major changes would then be reflected into the website. And also as part of that, there was a checkbox that was added to the program review process. So as departments were doing their program review, there would be a reminder for them to review their specific discipline website to make sure that they would make any kind of necessary updates to reflect changes in their discipline. The last phase pertained to the new SIS, the SIS upgrade to PeopleSoft, as well as a specific module within PeopleSoft called CurricuNet, where this is still in development, but the plan is to take a look at any areas where we could automate this process. So as PeopleSoft and CurricuNet would have more up-to-date course information, that could potentially automatically update our sections of the website, and so that there would be less manual intervention for somebody to go through and make those updates on their own. So like I said, that's still in the works because PeopleSoft is still in the earlier phases of implementation, and the plan is to review that as we get further along with the deployment of the new SIS. So that's recommendation 5. Are there any questions? All right, recommendation 6.
Thanks, Rod. Recommendation 6 had to do with the evaluations of administrators and part-time faculty in assessing learning outcomes. When the visiting team was here, they pulled a couple of anonymous full-time faculty evaluations and revealed that there's a checkbox saying that this person participates in student learning outcomes. We do have part-timers also that are expected and evaluated on participating in student learning outcomes, so that is in place. However, the team also noticed that academic administrators who oversee SLO assessments were not expected on their evaluations to participate in SLO assessment. So this was mainly a district recommendation that we were actually waiting on district to put some language together, and we recently just received it, I think about a week or so ago. So the Human Resources Division worked with the Teamsters Local 911 through a collective bargaining group, and make a long story short, they came together with an MOU and a new evaluation form that includes assessment of SAOs or SAOs in faculty administrators' evaluations. So this is ongoing. The district is still kind of massaging this recommendation a little bit. It's pretty much done. We're waiting on a little bit more information from them. We're hoping to get that in the next few weeks or so, but largely this is a district recommendation that applies to all the colleges. So, any questions on recommendation 6? Okay, thank you. And last but not least, recommendation 7. Rod, you are up again.
So recommendation 7 is another area of technology, also improvement. Within the accreditation report, we had specified an actionable improvement plan to improve upon our review of survey data and other data that's collected related to technology. So oftentimes we'd find where we'd collect all this survey information, comments and from students, faculty, and staff, yet it would not always make it into our technology plans. So we identified that there was a need for improvement on this. There's 2 plans related to technology. The Tech Master Plan is the main one, but there's also a Tech Replacement Plan. And so through improved review of the survey data, we're looking to make sure we properly prioritize and address the technology-related needs that are being identified in the surveys. So one of the first things, a lot of the comments that we found were related to the website. So one example of an area that we did improve upon was a redesign of our website, as some of you may have already seen. Earlier last year, we had hired a new web designer to assist just with all the website related needs that we were finding was an ever increasing demand. So one of the first things that we had that person do was to help with that redesign of the website. A lot of the comments were related to just better navigation, easier to find certain things, prioritize certain things that we identified that we wanted the college to make known. So on the home page in particular, there's a more prominent view of events and news that are occurring on the campus. So that's just one example of just the immediate area that we found from the survey data that needed immediate improvement. And there's still continued work to develop the website. So you'll see a fairly significant change from the older view to the pages that are becoming updated with the new design. There's more graphics involved, more changes with the sizes of fonts, things like that, so that it would be easier for somebody to navigate through that. Further review of the survey data identified some areas that weren't exactly clear. There was a lot of vagueness. Somebody submitting a survey comment may specify something like, we need more computers or faster computers in a particular area. And so we saw a need where we needed to have some additional clarification. And as a result of that, we had a focus group, a couple of focus groups, one for students, one for faculty and staff, that we used to get some further clarification on that survey data. So we agreed that the focus group would be one of the changes in the way that we review survey data and make decisions on how that's going to change in our technology plans. So there were some really good information from those focus groups. There was additional comments about the website, immediate comments about just the redesign and some slight changes. And as part of this too, the master plan, the tech master plan, in another area we identified that it needed to be updated on a more regular basis. So this process of reviewing survey data and having a focus group would be something that would be done on an annual basis along with the updating of the tech master plan so that it would more accurately reflect the immediate needs related to technology on the campus. I think that was it. So that's recommendation 7. Are there any questions on that? Yeah.
Question we had from ASL. When is the new website going to be revamped and updated? Because I see some changes, but when is it?
Specifically for the ASO?
No, for
So the question was just when will the other pages of the website be updated? So they're currently in the works. So we're starting typically from the immediate pages that you click on, the first level pages, especially those that are related to improving student enrollment or areas that have been identified that are most frequently visited. So that first level that you click on when you go into the website are the areas that are being addressed first. So in other words, as you click further on into the website, if there's something that's 3 or 4 levels down into the website, it'll likely not get updated immediately. It's going to take some time. So we're just kind of working from the top. The home page, of course, was first, and then working on down through the different levels. But we do have some analytical data that helps us identify what areas of the website are frequented the most, and that gives us another indicator of what areas to prioritize. Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, so what happens next? We give everything to Susan and she takes care of the rest, right? No. So over the next week and a half, 2 more weeks, we're going to continue asking people for feedback, for comments on the draft we sent out last week. We are receiving some of those suggestions and areas that we need to tweak a little bit in the report. And so we will present the report at ASC tomorrow. We have an ASC meeting at 10 o'clock. We'll get further feedback from the Accreditation Steering Committee. And then we are scheduled to be on time with submitting the report to College Council and Academic Senate on or around June 1st. I know Senate's meeting June 1st, College Council, I don't think we have a firm date yet, but I'll look at that. But we are on schedule to have them look at the report and vote for their approval. At that time, we'll get the report ready to submit to the Board of Trustees in September, and then ultimately send the report to ACCJC in October. So that is what is happening next. So if you have any comments, suggestions, anything you want to get to us regarding the report, evidence, whatever, go ahead and contact myself or Isabel. If you have complaints, contact Danny Villanueva, and he'll be happy to take your phone call. So, did he leave? Anyway, questions. Isabel, did you want to have anything to add at all? No? Okay. Dr. Perez, is Dr. Perez still here? He had to go. Questions on anything? No, you don't. You're fine. You can leave that out, yes. You have to say sir, though. So, any questions at all? Okay, again, thank you very much for coming. Again, thank you for all the folks that contributed, the writing teams. A special thank you to Tyler, who did the graphics for us on the front cover. Thank you very much, Tyler. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you.